Welcome to day 1 of quarantine. We are out of school. I am out of my element. I just found out I have a kitchen! Anyways, welcome to the first reading of The Hate U Give, Chapter 19. If you can, please follow along. If you can't follow along, I have a PDF or something similar to that on Google Classroom that you can use. If you choose not to do either, well, I guess you can just have fun. Chapter 19. The smell of hickory bacon and the sound of way too many voices wake me up. I blink to soothe my eyes from the assault of neon blue walls are given them. It takes me a few minutes lying here to remember it's grand jury day. Time to see if I'll fail Khalil or not. I put my feet in my slippers and head toward the unfamiliar voices. Seven and Sakani are at school by now, plus their voices aren't that deep. I should be worried about some unknown dude seeing me in my pajamas, but that's the beauty of sleeping in tanks and basketball shorts. They won't see much. The kitchen's standing room only. Guys in black slacks, white shirts, and ties are at the table or standing against the wall, shoveling food in their mouths. They have tattoos on their faces and hands. A couple of them give me quick nods and mumble "sup" through mouths full of food. The Cedar Grove King Lords. Damn, they clean up nicely. Mama and Aunt Pam work the stove as skillets full of bacon and eggs sizzle, blue flames dancing beneath them. Nana pours juice and coffee and runs her mouth. Mama barely looks over her shoulder and says, "Mornin' Munch, your plate's in the microwave. Come get these biscuits out for me, please." She and Aunt Pam move to the ends of the stove, stirring the eggs and turning the bacon. I grab a towel and open the oven. The aroma of buttery biscuits and a heat wave hit me head on. I pick the pan up with the towel, and that thing is still too hot to hold for long. "Over here, little mama," Goon says at the table. I'm glad to put it down. Not even 2 minutes after I set it on the table, every last biscuit is gone. God damn! I grab my paper towel covered plate from the microwave before the King Lords and hail it too. "Star, get those other plates for your dad and your uncle," Aunt Pam says. "Take them outside, please." Uncle Carlos is here. I tell Aunt Pam, "Yes, ma'am." Stack their plates on top of mine, grab the hot sauce and some forks, and leave as Nana starts one of her back in the theater days stories. Outside, the sunlight's so bright it makes the paint on my wall seem dim. I squint and look around for Daddy and Uncle Carlos. The hatch of Daddy's Tahoe is up, and they're sitting on the back of it. My slippers scuff against the concrete, sounding like brooms sweeping the floor. Daddy looks around the truck. "There go my baby." I hand him and Uncle Carlos a plate and get a kiss to the cheek from Daddy in return. "You sleep okay?" he asks. "Kinda." Uncle Carlos moves his pistol from the space between them and pats the empty spot. "Keep us company for a bit." I hop up next to them. We unwrap the plates that have enough biscuits, bacon, and eggs for a few people. "Shh. I think this one's yours, Maverick," Uncle Carlos says. "It's got turkey bacon." "Thanks, man," Daddy says, and they exchange plates. I shake hot sauce on my eggs and pass Daddy the bottle. Uncle Carlos holds his hands out for it too. Daddy smirks and passes it down. "I would have thought you were too refined for some hot sauce on your eggs. You do realize this is the house I grew up in, right?" He covers his eggs completely in hot sauce, sets the bottle down, and licks his fingers from the sauce that got on them. "Don't tell Pam I ate all of this, though. She's always on me about watching my sodium." "I won't tell if you won't tell," Daddy says. They bump fists to seal the deal. I woke up on another planet or in an alternative universe. Something. Y'all cool all of a sudden? "We talked," Daddy says. "It's all good." "Yep," says Uncle Carlos. "Some things are more important than others. I want details, but I won't get them. If they're good, though, I'm good. And honestly, it's about damn time." "Since you and Aunt Pam are here, where's Devante?" I ask Uncle Carlos. At home for once and not playing video games with your little boyfriend. Why does Chris always have to be little to you? I asked. He's not little. You better be talking about his height, says Daddy. Amen, Uncle Carlos adds, and they fist bump again. So they found common complaining ground. Chris. Figures. Our street is quiet for the most part this morning. It usually is. The drama always comes from people who don't live here. 2 houses down, Mrs. Lynn and Mr. Carlos talk in Mrs. Lynn's yards, probably gossiping. Can't tell either one of them anything if you don't want it to spread around Garden Heights like a cold. Mrs. Pearl works in her flower bed across the street with a little help from 40 Ounce. Everybody calls him that because he always asks for money to buy a 40 Ounce from the liquor store real quick. His rusty shopping cart with all of his belongings is in Mrs. Pearl's driveway, a big bag of mulch in the bottom of it. Apparently he has a green thumb. He laughs at something Mrs. Pearl says, and people 2 streets over probably hear the guffaw of his. Can't believe that fool's alive, Uncle Carlos says. Would have thought he drank himself to death by now. Oh, 40 Ounce? I asked. Yeah. He was around when I was a kid. Nah, he ain't going nowhere, says Daddy. He claims the liquor keeps him alive. Does Mrs. Rooks live around the corner? Uncle Carlos asks. Yep, I say, and she still makes the best red velvet cakes you've ever had in your life. Wow, I told Pam I had yet to taste a red velvet cake as good as Mrs. Rooks. What about, he snaps his fingers, the man who fixed cars lived on the corner. Mr. Washington, asked Daddy. Still kicking it, says Daddy. Still kicking it and still does better work than in any automotive shop around. Got his sons helping him too. Lil John, Uncle Carlos asks, that one that played basketball but got on that stuff? Yep, says Daddy. He has been clean for a minute now. Man, Uncle Carlos pushes his red eggs around his plate. I almost miss living here sometimes. I watch 40 Ounce help Mrs. Pearl. People around here don't have much, but they help each other out as best they can. It's the strange, dysfunctional as hell family, but it's still a family. More than I realized until recently. Star, Nana calls from the front porch. People 2 streets over probably hear her like they've heard 40 Ounce. Your mama said hurry up. You gotta get ready. Hey, Pearl. Mrs. Pearl shields her eyes and looks our way. Hey, Adele. Haven't seen you in a while. You all right? Hanging in there, girl. You got that flower bed looking good. I'm coming by later to get some of the birds of paradise. All right. You're not gonna say hey to me, Adele? 40 Ounce asks. When he talks, it jumbles together like one long word. Hell nah, you a fool. You old fool, Nana says. The door slams behind her. Daddy, Uncle Carlos, and I crack up. The Cedar Grove King Lords trail us in 2 cars. Uncle Carlos drives me and my parents. One of his off-duty buddies occupies the passenger seat. Nana and Aunt Pam trail us too. All these people, though, and none of them can go in the grand jury room with me. It takes 15 minutes to go to downtown from Garden Heights. There's always a construction worker going on for some new building. Work going on some new building. Garden Heights has dope boys on corners, but downtown people in business suits wait for crossing lights to change. I wonder if they hear the gunshots and shit in my neighborhood. We turn onto the street where the courthouse is, and I have one of those weird deja vu moments. I'm 3 and Uncle Carlos drives Mama, 7, and me to the courthouse. Mama cries the entire drive, and I wish Daddy were here because he can always get her to stop crying. 7 and I hold Mama's hands as we walk into a courtroom. Some cops bring Daddy out in an orange jumpsuit. He can't hug us because he's handcuffed. I tell him I like his jumpsuit. Orange is my favorite colors. But he looks at me real seriously and says, "Don't ever wear this suit. You hear me?" All I remember after that is that the judge saying something, Mama sobbing, and Daddy tells us he loves us. As the cops haul him off. For 3 years I hated the courthouse because it took Daddy from us. I'm not thrilled to see it now. New vans and trucks are across the street from the courthouse, and police barricades separate them from everybody else. I now know why people call it a media circus. It seriously looks like a circus is setting up in town. 2 traffic lanes separate the courthouse from the media frenzy, but I swear they're a world away. Hundreds of people quietly kneel on the courthouse lawn. Men and women in clerical collars stand at the front of the crowd, their heads bowed. To avoid the crowd and their cameras, Uncle Carlos turns onto the street alongside the courthouse. We go in through the back door. Goon and another King Lord join us. They flake me and don't hesitate to let security check them for weapons. Shh, I have to do my work. Another security guard leads us through the courthouse. The farther we go, the fewer people we pass in the halls. Miss Oprah waits beside the door with a brass plate that says Grand Jury Room. She hugs me and asks, "Ready?" For once I am. "Yes, ma'am." "I'll be out the whole time," she says. If you need to ask me something, you have that right." She looks at me and she looks at my entourage. "I'm sorry, but only stars' parents are allowed to watch in the TV room." Uncle Carlos and Aunt Pam hug me. Nana pats my shoulders as she shakes her head. Goon and his boy give me quick nods and leave with me. Mama's eyes brim with tears. She pulls me into a tight hug, and it's at that moment of all the moments that I realize I've gotten an inch or two taller than she is. She plants kisses all over my face and hugs me again. "I'm proud of you, baby. You are so brave." That word, I hate it. No, I'm not. That's not a game you can play, buddy. Shh, I'm doing my work. "Yeah, you are." She pulls back and pushes a stand of hair away from my face. "I can't explain." "Yes, you are." Where was I? I can't explain the look in her eyes, but it knows me better than I know myself. It wraps me up and warns me from the inside out. "Brave doesn't mean you're not scared, Stars," she says. "It means you go on even though you're scared, and you're doing that." She leans up slightly on her tiptoes and kisses my forehead. As if that makes it true. For me, it kinda does. Daddy wraps his arms around both of us. "You got this, baby girl." The door to the grand jury room creaks open and the DA, Mrs. Monroe, looks out. "We're ready if you are." I walk into the grand jury room alone, but somehow my parents are with me. The room has wood-paneled walls and no windows. About 20 or so men and women occupy a U-shaped table. Some of them are black, some of them aren't. Their eyes follow us as Miss Monroe leads to a table in front of them with a mic on it. One of Miss Monroe's colleagues swears me in, and I promise on the Bible to tell the truth. I silently promise it to Khalil too. Miss Monroe says Miss Monroe says from the back of the room, "Could you please introduce yourself to the grand jurors?" I scoot close to the mic and clear my throat. "My name," my small voice sounds like a 5-year-old's. I sit up straight and try again. "My name is Star Carter. I'm 16 years old." The mic is only recording you, not projecting your voice, Miss Monroe says. "As we have our conversation, we need you to speak loud enough for everyone to hear, okay?" "Yes." My lips brush the mic too close. I move back to try again. "Yes, ma'am." "Good. You came here on your own free will. Is that correct?" "Yes, ma'am." "You have an attorney, Miss Oprah, correct?" she says. "Yes, ma'am." "You understand you have the right to consult with her, correct?" "Yes, ma'am." "You understand you're not the focus of any criminal charges, correct?" "Bullshit." "Khalil and I have been on trial since he died." "Yes, ma'am." "Yes, ma'am. Today we want to hear, in your own words, what happened to Khalil Harris, okay?" I look at the jurors, unable to read their faces and tell if they really want to hear my words. Hopefully they do. "Yes, ma'am." "Now, since we have that understanding, let's talk about Khalil. You were friends with him, right?" I nod, but Miss Monroe says, Please give a verbal response. I lean toward the mic and say, yes, ma'am. Shit. I forgot the jurors can't hear me on it, and it's only for recording. It doesn't make any sense that I'm so nervous. How long did you know Khalil? The same story all over again. I become a robot who repeats how I knew Khalil since I was 3, how he grew up together, and the kind of person he was. When I finish, Miss Monroe says, okay, we're going to discuss the night of the shooting in detail. Are you okay with that? The unbrave part of me, which feels like most of me, shouts no. It wants to crawl up in a corner and act as if none of this ever happened. But all those people outside are praying for me. My parents are watching me. Khalil needs me. I straighten up and allow the tiny, brave part of me to speak. Yes, ma'am. And that concludes Chapter 19. Hopefully you enjoyed all of the interesting breaks in between. I love you, kiddos. I really do. But you gotta be quiet when I'm recording these videos, okay? Alright, that's Chapter 19. Questions are coming soon.